Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and we have missed 4 days in a row. Usually I don't upload on Saturdays and Sundays, so you guys are probably used to that, but I also forgot to upload on Friday and Monday. So if you're wondering where I was on Friday and Monday, stay until the end of the video and I'll explain everything at the end of the video. But for right now, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'll explain everything. There is a reason. I didn't just be like, man, I don't want to upload today. There's a reason why I couldn't do it. But today, either way, we're going to be going over my top 10 favorite racing games. Now, these are not the best racing games from a normal person's standpoint. For example, I personally am not a big fan of simulation racing games, so games like Assetto Corsa are not going to be on here. So they're just games that I personally get the happiest about when I see it. On top of that, guys, I'm going to be trying a new editing style today. It's not super crazy or anything like that. It's not like a big change. You'll easily be able to see the change if you're a regular viewer. And so if you are and you see the change, let me know if you think it's a good change, a bad change, or if it doesn't really affect it at all and it's just kind of pointless. I just wanted to try it. Let me know what you guys think. But without further ado, let's get right into the video with my top 10 favorite racing games. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. This freaking game, man, had me by the hooks of my nipples since I was a wee little lad. They should be charged with pedophilia because I was young and they were grabbing my nips. It was such a good freaking game. It's one of my personal first memories playing a video game. Looking back, the reason why it's here at number 10 is even though this one does have a lot of nostalgic value to me, I have played every one of these games on my top 10 list. I have played within the past year just to like kind of go back and try. I had this weird little phase like a couple months ago where I just wanted to try a bunch of old racing games, and some of them, like this one, did not age well at all. Hot Pursuit 2 nowadays is incredibly boring. If you go back and play it, it's not fun. There's not a lot of cars, not a lot of tracks. The tracks are very kind of boring and standard tracks, not a lot of traffic. There is cops, which is cool, but the cops aren't that crazy. But back in the day, this thing was pretty crazy. It came out in 1999, I believe, and it was so ahead of its time back then, dude. I freaking played this game so much back then. But like I said, it just didn't age well. That's why it's at number 10. Burnout 3 Takedown is kind of a little bit of a weird one. Not a lot of people talk about it. The Burnout series, not a lot of people talk about in general. And then when they do talk about the Burnout series, they talk about Burnout Paradise. And that's a great game. Don't get your boy wrong. But Burnout 3 Takedown is so much better in my opinion, brother. It is just the best. I always loved the crashing aspect of the Burnout series. You crash into each other, they go flying, they die, there's an obituary for them in the paper, you read up on it, you get sad. But with Burnout 3 Takedown, it was like the whole purpose of the game was, hey, kill that guy. Put him into a horrible coma. It was so much fun. And I got to play with my brother, and you got to progress through. I love when games do that, when you can play co-op and still progress through the game. I love that, and Burnout 3 Takedown did that. They need to remaster not only Burnout Paradise, but the whole Burnout series, because they were such a good series. Bring it back, as a matter of fact. Make a new Burnout game. We want a new one. Burnout 3 Takedown was great. Coming in at the number 8 spot is a game that you probably have never even heard of before in your life, and that's okay because it's not that popular, but it was cool for me. It's Destruction Derby Raw. This game was so underrated, in my opinion. It was so much fun to just crash into people when crash physics weren't really a thing in other games. This was my saving grace. I loved the whole, like, you can get into big, that's why I like Burnout 3 Takedown. I still to this day like BeamNG Drive, things like that are cool to see, like the crash physics of cars. This game came out in the 90s. Back then, they had no games where there was any sort of crash physics in the cars, and Destruction Derby Raw had some, which was really cool. I liked it a lot. Once again, this game, sadly, has not aged well at all. The game is very boring nowadays, especially when you've been treated to games like Forza Horizon 5 and stuff like that. Destruction Derby Raw obviously holds no standard to that, but back in the day, this game freaking hit like a truck, dude. It was great. If you've never played Destruction Derby Raw, I would say to go play it now, but it wouldn't be doing it justice since the game's almost, well, it is 20 years old. Gran Turismo 4, however, is a game I feel like we all can agree on is definitely one of the best racing games of all time. Whether you think it's like actually the best or not, it is definitely one of the most impactful. This game still to this day is talked about as a great racing game. It's definitely the game that got me personally into racing games. If it wasn't for this game, I don't know if I would like circuit racing and like time attack and stuff like that as much. And it was just, everything about it was great. The soundtrack was amazing. The car list was crazy for the time it was released. Holy moly, there was like 700 cars in this game, and it was released in like 2006, maybe? I don't even know. On top of that, they had the license tests. Those were so much fun back in the day. I loved the license tests. The racing itself was, in my opinion, felt like I was racing a real car. Obviously, it's horrible nowadays, but back then, it was like you were driving a real car. Even my dad played this game. And you want to know the extent of my father's gaming history? Clash of Clans. That's about it. He plays Clash of Clans. He likes that, and that's it. He also likes Hearthstone. But he also played Gran Turismo 4, so it's like, that's a good game if fathers are playing it and enjoying it. Need for Speed Underground. You guys knew there was going to be at least one Need for Speed game on this list. If you watch my channel for more than 2 minutes at a time, you will obviously be able to tell, okay, this guy is definitely one of those tuner, JDM, Euro, cheapo, $5,000 car turned into like a supercar kind of guys. And that is me. That's what I like. And Need for Speed Underground is the first one that really showed me why it's cool to be into tuner cars. If Gran Turismo 4 is the one that sparked my interest in racing games, this is the one that cemented it. And this is the one that kind of really, you know, show me which direction of racing games that I enjoy, and it was Need for Speed Underground. Now, sadly, nowadays, I don't really get to play any games like that because there's no good ones back anymore, but back in the day with Need for Speed Underground, holy moly, dude, I remember every time I started that game up, I always had the Nissan Sentra, and I was just like, I felt like I was a boss. All the freaking songs, to the window, to the wow. Oh my god, it made me feel so cool. It was such a good game. Need for Speed Underground, thank you. Remaster Need for Speed Underground. And no, I don't like the Underground 2 better than I like Underground 1. I don't know. I like Underground 1 better. I thought it was more fun. Wreckfest is definitely a very recent game. This game came out within the past, I think it came out in 2018, which is only 5 years ago. Sounds like a long time actually, but it's really not. And it feels like the old games where they aren't out to like get your money. They just made a damn good game and they wanted to show the world, hey, here's a good game, have fun. Now, Wreckfest does have some DLCs and you can, you know, pay some extra money to get some extra content, but the DLCs are good, dude. You could spend like $15 and get a ton of new cars, bunch of new races, and they all are still very fun to play with and race on and stuff like that. It's not like, it doesn't feel like a cash grab attempt, whereas like Call of Duty and stuff like that nowadays does. And it is just so good. Wreckfest is the game that came out when we had nothing else to play, and it's like, and it just kind of like shocked the world. Like we had Forza still, and Forza was still great. We had Gran Turismo, and Gran Turismo was still great, but those were both exclusives to different consoles. Wreckfest was just like, hey, no matter who you are, how much money you got, here's a fun game to play, and I appreciate that. And it's a blast, honestly. Everything about it's a blast. It also scratches that car crash itch for me. Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix, whatever you want to call it, is just better than Need for Speed Underground in every single way. What a time to be alive when Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition came out. Oh my god. Still to this day, dude, you can go back and play Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition and still have fun. As a new player, you could have played Forza Horizon 5, all the best modern racing games out there, and then go back and play Midnight Club 3, and you will still have a good time playing it. That is how this game aged like fine wine. It is so much fun. I played it, and I was about to say I still play it. I don't play it anymore because I finished it a couple months ago, but I played it a couple months ago, and it was so much fun. Everything about it was, once again, just like kind of the whole tuner scene with Need for Speed Underground, except Need for Speed Underground didn't have nearly as many cars. It wasn't open world. This game had so much more customization. Everything about it was, in my opinion, just so much better. I wish Rockstar never stopped making the Midnight Club games, because imagine if we still had the Midnight Club Need for Speed rivalry today and they were still trying to make better games than each other. That would be awesome.
Experience true freedom. Feel alive.
Coming in at third place is going to, of course, Forza Horizon 5. You could listen. Call me a basic boy. Call me a basic bunch of marbles. But it's one of my most played games for sure. Every single car imaginable under the sun is in this game that you could possibly want to drive. It has an insanely detailed and fun map to drive around in, and for every kind of car that you want to drift, there's drift roads. You want to race in a straight line, there's fast, swooping, hilly roads. You want to go off-road, there's off-road trails. You want to rally, there's rally roads. Great graphics. Everything about it feels very, very enjoyable to play. It's not super simulation, but it's not super arcade. The physics are a blast. I just wish it wasn't so fast to play through. I feel like I could finish the game in pretty much like 2 days probably. But even after that, it's still just, every once in a while, I just hop on Forza Horizon 5 and just drive. And it is so much fun. Everything in the game, it is beautiful too. They obviously have a huge budget, so they can make it look beautiful. So I'm not taking that away from any other games, but wow, Forza Horizon 5 did good with their money. Now, yes, there are some people out there that get angry at Forza Horizon 5 and say they're a cash grab kind of company. I don't really see that, to be honest. They don't have any, like, they have DLCs, but they're not, like, necessary DLCs, and you still can get a bunch of really cool free cars, so.
Yeah, Need for Speed Most Wanted. Make sure you do all your racing in the game. On the streets, drive safely and responsibly, and wear your seatbelt.
Coming in at second place is, of course, Need for Speed Most Wanted. The 2005 version. If you like the 2012 version better than the 2005 version, you're a psychopath. The 2005 version would have been my favorite game of all time if I didn't just recently find the #1 spot. There is nothing wrong with Need for Speed Most Wanted at all, and I still play it nearly 20 years later, at least once a year. I play through the whole game at least once a year, every single year. It is just one of those games. I wish there was a way for me to put 2 entries at #1, because like I said, there is no reason why I like the other game better than I like Need for Speed Most Wanted. I just do a little bit. But there is nothing wrong with Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. Now, obviously nowadays, yeah, the car list could be a little bit better. Maybe the graphics could be a little bit better, but that's expected. And even then, it's really not that bad when you look at some other games that were made in 2005. It is just so good. If you haven't played the original Need for Speed Most Wanted yet, play it. Play it, listen to Mr. Roden here, and play the game, and report back to HQ. Oh, I'm sorry. You thought we were just going to jump straight to the first position? You didn't think there was going to be honorable mentions? Well, not only is there going to be 1 honorable mention, but there's going to be 5, because I'm very indecisive, and all these 5 games could have easily landed on this list somewhere, and I didn't know where to put them. So first one is GTA Online. GTA Online would easily be in the top 3 of my favorite racing. I have a whole second channel for GTA Online. By the way, link is going to be in the top of the comments, where I talk about GTA Online cars. But I didn't want to put it in the actual list because I figured somebody would probably say, well, it's not technically a racing game, and they're right, so I would put it as an honorable mention. But if you count it as a racing game, then this is easily in my top 3. I love GTA Online. There's over like 1,000 cars in the game that are all based on real life cars with customization, fun to drive, they can be damaged, insane tracks, everything about the game is great. The next honorable mention is Gran Turismo 6. This one is a little bit worse than Gran Turismo 4 in every way, in my opinion. However, personally, this is my list, I have a really good memory with GT6, where I used to be able to go into these like servers where there were car meet servers, and this is really what got me into JDM. I know it's weird, but this is where I learned all about JDM, is in these weird little car meet servers, and people were like, JDM cars only for the next round, and I would bring out like a Pontiac Fiero, and they were like, what is this guy doing? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. And they taught me everything I need to know. Gran Turismo 6, I have a bunch of cool memories with it. That whole car meet stuff was so much fun too. The next one is going to be Rumble Racing. This was very underrated. Nobody probably even knows what this is if you're watching this video, to be honest. It's a very slept on game in my opinion. If I didn't have a little brother that I played this game with, and like we went through the story together and had a blast playing it like on the couch with each other, it would probably not even be in my top 10. But since you can play through the whole campaign with a friend on the couch, me and my brother had some great memories, so it's here in the honorable mentions. Same with the next one, which is Cars 2, the game. This is a 2-player, you can do the 2-player campaign together, and I did it with my brother. And once again, if it wasn't for playing it with him, I probably would not like this game nearly as much. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And finally, the last honorable mention is Driver San Francisco. Talk about a unique concept, dude. The reason why this isn't in the top 10 is, once again, I don't really classify it as a racing game. Yes, you're only driving in it the whole time, but there's very little actual racing you're doing. So I was kind of confused on where I should put it. So I just put it as an honorable mention. But wow, they came out with this. If you never played Driver San Francisco, it's still a relatively new game too. It came out in like, what, 2012? So go back and play it. The graphics are still nice. The car list is crazy, honestly. There's just no customization, but besides that, it's great. Go back and play it and then report back, because this thing is fun. But let's get into the first place now. And a surprise to probably absolutely everybody in the world, yes, I think CarX Drift Racing Online is my favorite racing game of all time. This is the one. I have spent more time playing this game than I have driving in real life, I think. I'm not even joking. I probably have, because if you think about it, how often do you drive like 2 hours? You know, not that often. Maybe once a month you drive 2 hours. I drive 2 hours in this game once every other day. You know what I mean? This game is a blast. I'm not even the biggest fan of drifting either. Like, I do love drifting. Don't get me wrong. It's a really cool concept to me. I like it a lot. But there's just something about the physics and cars and the customization and community that makes me love CarX Drift Racing Online so much. It is a blast to just drift around in your favorite JDM cars out there. It doesn't even have to be JDM. There's muscle cars, there's freaking Euro cars, anything you could possibly want, you can drift it. And it's so much fun, and it's so easy to get the hang of too, but it still has a huge, like it's easy to learn how to drift in the game, sure, but it's hard to be good at the drifting in the game. And so you can keep learning and keep trying. There's so many people, that you can like drift with. If you do give it a try, wait until you get the ultimate tune unlocked, because I almost gave up when I didn't have that tune because it was really boring. But once you unlock it, it is an absolute life changer. It makes the game so much fun and very easy to control the cars and stuff like that. Literally all I do sometimes if I'm just bored and I want to do something, or if I just want to get my mind off of something, I just turn on some nice music on Spotify and just go drifting with people from around the world in cars that we all wish that we owned, and we all customized them to our perfect, you know, exactly what we would want it to be. I do wish I had better graphics and maybe a little bit more money for the team to put into the game to make it even better than it is, because it's a very underrated, very, you know, low budget team for sure. But even with what they have, they are doing great. So I love it. It's my favorite racing game of all time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of my personal top 10 favorite racing games of all time. Let me know what other racing games that you think should have made this list. But once again, keep in mind that it is my personal list, so don't be like, well, you're an idiot if you think this one's there. Like, a lot of you guys are obviously going to disagree with the CarX Drift Racing one. Obviously, there's probably a lot of you people watching this video that are not big fans of drifting, and you probably have never even tried the game or something like that. It's a very, once again, pretty slept on game. But so keep that in mind if you're going to leave something down below, but definitely leave your opinions on what games you think should have been there, because I would like to see if I missed any for sure. But for anybody wondering, the reason why I didn't upload this past 4 days, something happened within the family that made my dad not be able to be here at the house. Okay, I'm not going to explain what that was, but when it happened, we were on the roof of my house ripping off the shingles of the house. We were going to be re-shingling the entire roof. Now, this wouldn't have been that big of a task and wouldn't have been that bad if whatever happened didn't happen. But then my dad couldn't do it anymore. So me and my little brother took it upon ourselves to go do it. And when we have never done it in our lives. So we were learning the entire time doing it, and that made it take a lot longer than we expected. So for this past 4 days, we were waking up at the butt crack of dawn and working on the roof of the house, trying to learn how to put together a roof of a house for 4 days straight. And whenever we got back in, I'm gonna be honest, we would get back in, eat dinner, and fell asleep and did it again the next day. And that's what we've been doing these past 4 days. I haven't had a single time even to watch a YouTube video, let alone make one. So I'm sorry, but we're done with that. It actually looks really nice for two newbies. It's really cool. But we're done with that. And so we're back to the daily uploads. Sorry about that for anybody that was wondering where I was these past 4 days. But we're back. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.